Welcome to Talk Art. I'm Sally Rain, and I will be your host as we delve into the world of the artist and the art that's all around us. Talk Art is sponsored by the Silicon Valley Open Studios. During the first 3 weekends in May, hundreds of local artists open their studios to the public. For more information, go to the website svos.org. Our guest is Thomas Arakawa, a potter from Los Gatos, who draws on his Japanese heritage to create individually unique, functional pottery. So welcome, Thomas.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you could come and be on Talk Art with us. You have some beautiful work here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about your background and how it's influenced your work.
A lot of things influenced my work. My Japanese heritage. I'm from Japan. I was born, and also American culture. I've been living in America for 20 years.
Yes, good. So your pottery looks very Japanese.
Yes.
Seems to me, but is it traditional Japanese pottery, would you say?
No, they are not. It's inspired by traditional Japanese pottery. I study a lot about old Japanese ceramics and styles, but then size and shape, and I have a lot of American influence as well as the materials are American.
So do the materials make a difference in the pottery?
Yes, it does. Huge.
Tell me
difference.
how. How does it make a difference?
Clay is the first thing. We design clay to look similar, but then American clay has really good features. And I like iron-rich clay, and one's called even Gregzilla. I like the naming.
So iron-rich clay, how does that help the clay? What does it do when you're touching it and feeling it?
Feeling itself is very, with the sand, it's really throwable. It's easy to throw.
Mm-hmm.
But the iron releases over time when it's fired, and I think it's about 1800 degrees. The iron of the clay start coming out, affect the glaze color.
Oh, so it affects the color and
Yes.
what it's like. Excellent. So, as a potter, you must have an interesting studio layout and the space where you work. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the studio space that you're in and what it's like there?
Sure. So I live in Los Gatos, and I live in Blossom Hill Crafts pottery studio.
So you live in your pottery studio?
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
It's not mine, but then, yeah, I live there with other 4 artists and owner, and we have 180 students coming.
Wow.
So it's really public space I live in, and we have 2 big gas kiln, and I have private studio there. And so all the work is coming out from, 6 by 6 foot private studio.
Wow, very nice. And so you have different types of kilns? You said a gas-fired kiln?
Right. We have electric kiln, gas kiln, and wood fire kiln.
And wood fire kiln.
Uh-huh.
Well, you brought some pictures of some of your pottery. So let's take a look at those now, and you can tell us how they were fired and the colors that were involved with them.
Oh, sure.
So what are they like? Tell us a little bit about them.
So I do a lot of wood firing, which is wood is only source of energy, and it gives a lot of depth and color. And gas fire also gives a lot of depth, but then different colorations and much more accessible than wood fire. And
so the gas kiln, how is that different from the wood when you're actually doing it?
Gas kiln, you can fire over 24 hours or 30 hours, or no, not 30 hours, 24 hours.
Yeah.
And we light it up and adjust thing called damper, which regulates the airflow. But and the gas flow. But otherwise, it's one person can operate it. But the wood fire kiln has to be in team of 10 or even more.
Wow, so a big team.
Yes.
So let's take a look at some of your pictures.
Okay.
So you can tell us about how they are.
Sure. That's a wood fire pot. It's a teapot-shaped flower arrangement vessel. And this one was fired in Nobori-style wood fire kiln over 30 hours. I got inspiration from 20 years ago at my grandmother's place. I was living, and she was Ikebana master.
And what is Ikebana?
Ikebana is a Japanese flower arrangement.
Flower arranging, that's what I thought, yes.
And I thought it was ugly pot then, but when I started doing pottery and I wanted to do something interesting, this came up in my mind. Yes.
From your heritage,
yes.
from your grandmother.
And I put the grapevine as a handle over, which represent California. So this whole thing is Japanese and American.
Very nice.
That's me. And this is copper red cups. This is gas-fired, and red is hard to get because it has to be fluid from certain temperature, and so it will be runny, but at the same time, unless it's fired for a long time and have copper move around, it won't turn red. This could consider as a failure because there's a lot of white spot which didn't turn out red, but that's why I really like this pot. I think it's part of Japanese culture to see some accidents and failure as beauty. And yes. So, yes.
Well, they're definitely beautiful, and the red,
Thank you.
The red is from the copper in
yes.
the glaze.
The white portion, you don't see the copper, but it's there.
It's there.
Yeah. And it looks like tulip, is it?
Very nice, yeah.
This is another wood fire tea bowl. This is used for tea ceremony, and materials porcelain. There's no glaze outside. It's natural color coming from firing in the wood, and
it looks like there's some around the rim, though.
Yes, inside I put liner glaze called Parmaceladon, and but compared to the other tea pottery, so it's more subtle effect. And
so why would you wood fire something like that as opposed to electric or gas?
I think it's depth and unexpected color. Electric, pretty much environment is constant throughout the firing, but then wood fire, every time we stoke wood every 2 minutes, that environment changed from oxidation to reduction, which is the oxygen level. And so that makes the depth. And this is Shino glaze. Shino glaze, I have a whole dinner set series. Shino was discovered about 400 years ago, which was also a failure. They tried to make white glaze and came out bumpy and changed color as a thickness. But that's what I like about
it's very nice.
Something they find beauty in mistakes, you know. So
I like that idea.
Yes.
There are no mistakes in art.
No. So I make whole series. This one's called hakeme, means brush strokes in Japanese, and
it's beautiful. How did you get the white glaze on that?
That one's actually called slip. It's porcelain slip on the black clay with clear glaze, and that gives full range of grayscale. And I think it was developed in Korea. They were not able to afford white porcelain piece, so they put it on the black clay to make it look expensive vessel.
Well, you brought some clay and your tools and your pottery wheel to give us a demonstration. So let's take a look at your tools and tell us about what you're going to do.
Okay. So I have a piece of clay, put it on the bed. First of all, this is called potter's wheel. Nothing but just a pedal and the motor. Simple tool. And I'm placing clay in the center. And I'm going to start with...
So do you need to prepare the clay ahead of time?
Yes.
What do you do?
Well, we call things called wedging, and that's one of the most important process to make the clay consistent. But then, yeah, it's hard to master, and that's the way we say hello to the clay. So I'm gonna do a little bit more wedging on the wheel.
So you're putting water on it right now?
Yes, and I'm gonna do coning. By moving clay, I would know what's going on with the clay. And
so you haven't started the pot yet?
no, not yet, but this is a part of the process. And I'm moving on to centering. I'm pushing the clay into the center. And now I'm gonna open up. And open wider. And make sure inside is smooth. Interestingly, like when I start making pottery, I was always looking at outside shape. Outside shape is not so important because after we finish throwing, we're gonna trim the outside, but we also almost never trim inside. So inside shape determines the final shape. Now I'm pulling the wall to make the bowl thinner and bigger.
So you're doing this by feel, right? You know what the
Yes.
clay feels like from experience?
Right, yes. And I'm
How do you get it so even?
By feel, I think I tell my students these are their eyes, because from looking at from top, I can't tell the thickness or even the shape. And so one of the Italian potter I learned from, Claudio Riccardo, he does throw big pieces with blindfold.
With blindfold on?
Yes. He told me to, if I learn how to feel the clay, I can throw better. And to understand what he's saying took me 2 years. So this is the needle tool. I'm gonna alter the shape to flowers. Let's see. I'm just pushing clay gently, and here's the flower.
Very nice. So you're making sort of petal shapes?
Yeah.
Oh, tell us about the bottom of that. How did you pick that up?
Oh, this is called bat system. That square bat goes into the round, so I can just pop it off and put it away.
Very nice. Well, we have time for another pot. If you brought some clay, you can show us how to create it and maybe do it at the speed that you normally work.
Okay.
That was the demonstration speed.
Okay, sure. All right.
Very nice. So you're wedging the clay again?
Yes, and centering. And
Wow. So
compressing the top.
how many pots can you do in a day?
I can do about 100.
100 pots.
Yeah.
Bowls like this. Wow.
Yeah. Which is, for production potter, it's less than average. Japanese production potter would do 200-300.
Wow.
I heard Korean potters does 1,000 in one day.
Wow.
So I'm not.
amazing.
I'm slow side for professional. Yep. And this.
So how are you controlling the speed of that?
This pedal.
There's a pedal that you, like an accelerator?
Yes,
You can
just like driving car. Yeah, just like driving car. From one point it'll be automatic, like you're adjusting speed without thinking. And it coordinates with the hand movement. And let's see, I'm gonna make this into heart. Ta-da!
A heart. Oh, very nice. Those are great. Well, you brought some pictures of completed work.
Yes.
So why don't we take a look at the completed work, and you can talk about some of the bowls that you've created and
Sure.
and look at your work.
That'd be great.
So there's some
All
very
right.
pretty colors.
Yes, variety of colors.
So this is the flower shape that you made first, right?
Yes. The bottom left is flambe, purple and blue. In the middle one's called rutile. And as we talked about earlier, the iron and the clay stains it to different color, different shades from blue to brown. You can see right and left end. You can those are same glaze. One looks yellow and one looks green. Different level of oxygen in the kiln creates different color.
When you, before you put them in the kiln, can you predict what color they're going to be?
Yes, in some range. So each glaze might create like 10 different versions of it.
Oh, so you have an idea, you know, if it's going to be on the red side or the blue side, but
That's
not
right.
exactly what it's going to look like in the end.
That's right, yeah. But then I think something I learned through pottery, no expectations. I'll be happier, and I'm usually happy with any color comes out. And here's my lamp. This one, as you can see, it's lotus. I carved the life cycle of lotus on larger pot. This is about 15, 20 inch tall. And it's a Buddhist theme to show life cycle. And I also like the lotus. I think Chinese poet says lotus comes out from the mud, but it's unstained. And that's what I do. I covered in mud making things, and at the end, hopefully the beautiful thing comes out.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So you used tools to carve after you created the lamp shape on your wheel.
Right.
Nice.
The challenge is it'll keep drying, and if it's completely dry, it'll be like a cookie. It's very fragile, so I have to keep it wet. But as it gets thinner, and you see those details can break off very easily, so it has to be done very quickly and keep it moisted. And this is another wood fire pot. There's no glaze on this one. So you see
So what angle are we looking at? Is that looking down into it?
Yes,
oh,
inside.
I see.
This is natural ash from firing wood, and silica, the glass in the wood, melts in the firing and create those texture and pull it in the middle.
So how does the wood burning and the smoke affect this?
Yes, so quality of wood, a type of wood is very important. We mix different wood in the wood firing, pine, oak, and some fruit wood, almond. They all give different color, especially if I put a lot of red wood, it'll be obviously red.
Really? The redwood creates a red tinge to the
a lot of iron.
clay?
Yes.
Wow, really interesting.
Iron will evaporate in the wood firing, and it's a very exciting process. It's very hot. When I'm stoking, it probably takes about 10 seconds to melt my glove.
Wow.
So it's very hot. So I can't do it during the summertime, and even wintertime. Everybody takes about 6-hour shift, and whole 6 hours we'll be walking, carrying wood, and stoking. This is another wood fire pot. This is for tea ceremony. I started doing tea ceremony last year, and I learned a great deal from doing tea. And unless I do tea, I wouldn't be able to make tea ceremonial utensils. And it's interestingly, they really like imperfect wood fire look, and so it's something I really enjoy learning as well as practicing. This is water jug, so we use it in ceremony.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
And this is another type of water jug, and I have these in studio too. They're taller because during the tree ceremony and the winter time, we move the fireplace closer to the guest, and because so then it'll be warmer for the guest. Just because they move the fireplace, their limitation of space, so they make a small footprint and taller vessel for the water keeper, just so the guests will be warmer.
It looks like a different type of glaze on each of those too.
Yes, the white one is Chun glaze. I like iron-rich clay because it gives iron spots. You can see the brown spots on the white. It's beautiful. And the back one is Sun Valley Rutile, and that really gives different range of color from the iron.
That's all one type of glaze on that?
Yes.
From the orange to the blue? That's
yes.
Interesting.
And the left one is Hakeme. It's a black clay with porcelain slip and clear glaze. Yeah, it's favorite glaze combinations and style.
Very nice.
All right.
Beautiful work. You have some
thank you
very
much.
interesting shapes that you create, and I like the way that it draws on the Japanese heritage, but it's your own as well.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, from your influences here. So you brought this absolutely enormous looking teapot here that has such an interesting shape and design. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? You showed us a picture of a smaller one earlier, but tell us about this.
This is wood fire pot again, and it's, I don't know how many pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. The body is made of 2 12-pound clay and put it together. Spout was about 7 pounds and lid is 3 pounds. Yeah, and
that's amazing. And so how do you put the pieces together when you're creating something this large?
Yes, so when we create these, I throw, I'll dry it halfway, and when it's leather hard, what we call halfway.
Leather hard?
When it's leather hard, we assemble it, but then the challenge is that water contents on each part is different, that it shrinks in different rate.
Oh, yes.
Then it will crack and it will sometimes fall apart, especially when wood firing. The temperature goes to cone 13, which is the measurement of temperature in pottery world.
Cones, yes.
Yes, and I think it was 2450, so it's almost, the clay is melting like a liquid.
Wow.
So if I don't have structurally sound pot, it'll fall apart. So.
Oh, definitely. So is there a technique that you learn or calculations that you do when you're putting different pieces together in different moistures? How can you tell? Or is it experience?
Yes. A lot of things about pottery, we have to do it over and over to learn the feel of it. And there's no measurement about the water contents. When I first doing wedging, I was able to tell hard and soft, maybe 2 different grades. But now I wedge, I know about 20 different grades of water contents. Like,
all through your fingers.
Yes, and then I want a little bit harder, and I mix drier clay, and so it's from experience.
Experience, yes, and then using the kilns and firing and getting it to different temperatures.
Right.
Tell us some of the experiences of that. What happens? What do you have to learn from? Put it that way.
Oh, from firing kiln?
Yeah.
Wood firing kiln is all about experience. We don't use instruments at all, so we learn color by looking at it all the time.
The flame color?
Flame color, to tell the temperature as well as the oxygen level, the flame coming out from the chimney, and we use other senses like smell. By smell, I can tell the level of oxygen, sound of wood cracking.
Really?
Sound, yes.
Wow.
Or
So it's all, use all of your senses in the
yes.
firing process.
That's the
very
beauty
interesting.
of it.
So it's
yes.
a very physical, I mean, pottery seems very physical, but in reality, you have to use all of your senses
Yes.
to create it, plus experience.
Yes, it's a wonderful experience too.
Well, that's amazing. So what are some of your future plans? Why don't you tell us what's going to happen for Thomas Arakawa?
Oh, yes. In May, I'm doing Open Studio.
The Silicon Valley Open Studios?
Yes.
Yes, excellent.
I'm doing multiple locations, actually 3 locations. And in April, I'm doing Cherry Blossom Festival.
Where is that?
It's in San Francisco. Yes, San Francisco Cherry Blossom Festival.
So is that more of an Asian art
yes,
festival?
That's right.
Very good.
It's Japanese. And I'm doing that 2 weekends. End of April, I'm doing Blossom Hill Craft Sale. And let's see. In June, I'm doing 3D art at the Gallery House.
Where is that?
Gallery House is on California Avenue in Palo Alto.
In Palo Alto.
Yes.
Very nice. And then you mentioned earlier to me about a very big show coming up.
Yes.
Tell us about that and how you got involved.
Yes. That's International Chawan Expo in Taiwan.
In Taiwan?
Yes. I have a lot of Facebook friends, and one of the friends from Belgium says, you know, I like your tea bowls. Would you like to participate? So I just.
So do you get to go to Taiwan?
No, just my
Just your
tea bowls.
pottery?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, well, become a success maybe next time.
Maybe. That'd be great.
So it's been wonderful looking at all of your pots, and your demonstration was fantastic. I'm amazed at how quickly you can create a pot, just like that. It's a very interesting technique.
Thank you. Also, it's really good experience coming here.
Yeah. Excellent. And thank you for watching Talk Art. It's been great having Thomas Arakawa as our pottery guest.
All right.
So